Okay, so hello everyone. Thanks for joining this session. I just started the recording, so you will be also receiving the recording later. My name is Nimrod Geva, and I manage QuizCom's product group. Just a few words about QuizCom. We've been developing add-ons for SharePoint for 12 years now. We operate from Richmond Hill in Ontario, Canada. And we're doing add-ons. That's what we do for a long time. Add-ons for SharePoint Server and apps for SharePoint Online. And my job as a product group manager is mainly to find gaps in SharePoint. I started doing it in SharePoint 2001, and then 2003, 2007, and so on. Today we support customers that have all kinds of SharePoint. From SharePoint 2007, we still support these customers, to SharePoint 2010, 2013, 2016, and SharePoint Online. Now, today I'm going to speak specifically about our solutions for SharePoint Online. And just a quick overview. Up until 5-6 years ago, most of our customers were enterprises or big companies. Because only let's say a small company cannot afford maintaining SharePoint, because SharePoint Server means buying a few front ends, SQL Server, maybe app servers, hardware, software. You need an IT or more than just one IT person to maintain all of this and make sure it's working all right. So SharePoint was an expensive thing before you even get to implement what you need. Just to have SharePoint out of the box was quite an expensive thing. And thanks to Office 365, suddenly we see more and more small companies. I mean, even the smallest companies with 5 users, 10 users, joining Office 365, and suddenly so many new smaller customers, smaller companies can enjoy and benefit from collaboration and document management and all of these features. But same as with SharePoint Server, there are many gaps. Some gaps are small and some gaps are bigger. And what I want to present today is more relevant to, I think it's more relevant to smaller companies who cannot afford developing solutions or enhancing SharePoint, because it costs a lot of money. So here we provide small and pocket-friendly add-ons or apps in the Office 365 terminology, which just bridge over the gaps without having to be an IT expert or without having to buy big solutions that require massive deployment. And what I'm going to do today, I'm not going to show all the apps. Just as a general concept, we have over 50 or 60 add-ons for SharePoint Server, and we are upgrading all of them one by one to Office 365 environment, because this is part of our commitment to our existing customers, that some of them or many of them more and more are switching to the cloud environment. So they are requiring the same features that we provided them on premises now to be available on the cloud. So that's what we do. We are migrating or upgrading our add-ons, our full trust add-ons, to apps. And what I'm going to do today is just show some of the apps to give you the idea how we can really bridge over the gaps, not with big solutions, not with big deployments, but with small plugins that just focused on specific gaps and solve them. The first app that I would like to show you, actually it's our first app. It's for 3 or 4 years now, and it answers the most basic forms requirement, is having cascaded lookups, drop-downs, which means I think almost in every form you need to have the ability to have a drop-down or a list which depends on another drop-down, meaning like in this screenshot where you have a region, and when you select a region, of course, it needs to filter the country drop-down, and once you select the country, it needs to filter the city list or drop-down, doesn't matter. I have no idea why Microsoft didn't include this in any SharePoint version, but it didn't. So luckily for us. So I'd like to show you how it works. So I have here an Office 365 site with region, country, city, and when I select a region, it will filter into country, and you see only region 1 countries, and if I select a country, you will see only country 1 cities. Now that's the basic feature of Cascading Lookup, but there are some additional features that you get with QuickOnTouch Cascading Lookup. Each of these lookup fields is connected to a list, like SharePoint out of the box lookup columns, but here you can also connect a lookup field to a remote list, and this is something you don't have with SharePoint out of the box. With SharePoint out of the box, SharePoint Online and on-premises, a lookup column can connect only to a list on the same site, and here you can connect to lists on other sites. Another thing is that you have autocomplete, which means if you have more than just a few items in your drop-down, you may have hundreds or thousands, it's very convenient to type something and have only the relevant items shown. So if I type, for example, the number 7, so it will show me only the items that have this character in them. So this is also another feature that you have the Cascading Lookup. And the final one, I don't know how many of you are aware of the threshold thing with SharePoint Online, not just SharePoint Online, which means you cannot issue a query which retrieves more than a few thousand, 5,000 by default, and you can change it in order not to mess with the performance of the page. So our Cascading Lookup can work with lists that have more than 5,000 or 10,000 or tens of thousands, because it retrieves the items not in one batch, but it divides the query into chunks, and this way we can retrieve a lot of items and we don't mess with the threshold that we have with SharePoint. Another very useful and very popular app for Office 365 is the QuickOnTouch Dynamic Column Permission. Now the name is a bit misleading because it's not about permissions. The main benefit here is the ability to create dynamic, context-sensitive list forms. And by default, the new item, edit item, and view item list forms that we have with every list and document library are static, which means you cannot control which fields are visible and which not. There is no such feature. Here you can make the form dynamic, which means some will see these fields and some other people will see some other fields, and depending on who you are and also depending on your actions in the form, which makes the form dynamic or context sensitive. Let me give you I see some questions, by the way. I'm not ignoring the questions. I don't have another person to help me with the answers, so I'll take the answers to the end, and I promise to answer all questions here, okay? Okay, so let's take an example of what is a dynamic form. So let's look at these three fields. We have category, hardware type, and software type. Now, depending on my category selections, some fields here should be visible and some invisible. For example, if I select hardware in the category field, of course the hardware type should be visible and the software type is irrelevant, so it should not be visible. And same goes if I select a software category, I expect the hardware type not to be visible and only the software type to be visible. So this is what I mean dynamic form, that shows different things or disables some fields according to who you are and what you do with the form. Let me show you how you can easily configure this with a small app which is called the Column Permission app. So let's go to to my IT help desk list, sorry. Yeah, this is the list. Let me first show you the list as is out of the box. So you will see the situation that I just showed you. So we have category field, we have the hardware type, and we have the software type, and currently, of course, the category doesn't influence the other fields. Now I'm going to the dynamic column permission settings page. This is the settings page of this app, and it's all about rules. So all I need to do is to set up a rule that hides the software or the hardware type depending on some conditions. So let's do it. So I'm selecting the hardware type field and I'm adding a rule. And first I configure in which list forms I want this rule to be applied. So I want this rule to be applied in the new item form, edit item form, and view item form. I can also apply it, by the way, in list views. I'll get to it. Then I need to decide what do I want to do with this field. So in this case, I want to hide it. And now I set up the conditions. When do I want to hide the hardware type field? So I want to hide this field if category is not equal to hardware. Clicking apply, and this will add the rule to the form. Now this is the same list form. Yeah, this is the original list form. We're just adding some rules on top of it. Now I'm doing the same thing with the software type field. So I'm creating a rule. I want it to be applied in the same 3 list forms. I want to hide this field if category is not equal to software. So I added 2 rules to this form. Now let's get back to this is the new item form, the regular new item form. I'm refreshing this page now. And as you can see now, we see only the category field. If I select hardware, suddenly I see the hardware type field. If I select software, the hardware type is gone, and I see instead the software type field. And of course, if I select any other value, neither of them will be displayed. So this is how easy it is to make the form dynamic. Now, of course, I could add more conditions. Here the conditions are simple. It just depends on the value of one field, but I could add more conditions with or with and or operator. Like I could say also do it only if the current user is in some Active Directory group and more rules. Okay. Now an important thing is that we didn't bring here any new technology. These are the same SharePoint list forms. We just added a layer of JavaScript code on top of them that manipulates the visual here, makes them dynamic, but you don't lose any of the SharePoint extensibility features. We don't cover SharePoint, we seamlessly integrate into the SharePoint. So this is what we mean when we say 100% SharePoint native add-on that doesn't interfere or cover any of the other SharePoint features. So for you, it's just the same list form, just it appears as if it's on steroids or something. Now, there's a question here. This dynamic column permission works the same as the InfoPath form show or hide option. Can we still use InfoPath SharePoint Online? No. If you use this feature, you don't use InfoPath. Actually, the purpose of this is to enable business users not to try and mess with InfoPath or any other complicated tool. That's our target. We try to bring an add-on that saves you the time, so no need for any form designer. You just need to go into a settings page and configure some rules. That's it. Now, this thing also works in list views. So, for example, and not just in list views, this also includes the quick edit view. So let's, for example, I'm going to the quick edit view. This is the view that is used in SharePoint 2013 and 16 for bulk editing. And let's say I want to hide or disable, let's do an example with disable, the category field. So you see this is a drop-down field, it's a choice field, and I want in the quick edit view to disable this. Look, so I don't want users bulk editing data here to be able to update the category when they use the quick edit view. So let's do it. I'm going back to the column permission settings page, and I'll just set up another rule. And this time the rule is for the category field. And I want to apply this rule this time only in list views, not in the forms. In the new item form, edit item form, I want this field to be active. I want to disable, not hide this field, just to show you another example, not just hiding fields. And in this case, I won't add any conditions. I will do it always. So I'm clicking apply, and let's go back to the list, and let's go and quick edit, go to the quick edit view. And as you can see now, there are no drop downs. It's grayed, it's disabled. I cannot edit the category field. So using the column permission, you can hide, show, disable fields both in the list forms and in list views, but not just in a static way, but also depending on conditions, which make the entire thing dynamic, depending on who you are, to which groups you belong, and depending on values of the fields and your actions in the form. Okay, so next feature. Found it. Okay. Okay, the next app that I'd like to show you is another form feature app, which is called repeating rows column. Again, it's the same concept. Instead of having to learn another form designer like InfoPath or any other super sophisticated designer, what we offer is a simple solution that can be implemented not just by power users who master some form design tool, but any site owner, because it's just adding a new type of column to the form, that's it. And this enables you to make your regular out-of-the-box SharePoint list forms into multi-row forms. Very similar to the concept of repeating sections in InfoPath for people who are familiar with InfoPath. But the concept here is not to work with InfoPath, but stay with the regular SharePoint list forms. Let me show you an example. So I'm going to another list, which is the expenses list. Let me just show you the end result, and then I'll show you how it's configured. So this is an expense, the new item form in the expenses list. And as you can see, we have here a details field, which has several rows, and it has columns here like title, date, expense type, and amount, and I can update multiple data. Let's add some amount here, and let's add, sorry for not inventing more realistic names here. And as you can see, I also have here a summary field that was configured. I also have the ability to add new rows or delete these rows, and so on. So it's a regular multi-row form. Classic examples are expense forms or order forms with multiple items in them. Now, how does it work? So actually, this details column that I'll show you its settings in a minute is actually kind of a lookup field that connects expenses with expense details list. So actually every row here in the details field will create an item in the expense details list. So we have a kind of one-to-many connection between the expenses list and the expense details list, where each expense has multiple expense details items connected to it. So this is the repeating rows. Now let me show you how it's configured. So first thing, when you want to create such a multi-row form, first thing you need to have a list where the multiple data, where the many data will be stored. In our example, I need the expense details list to be ready. Once it's ready and I want to add repeating row field to the expense list, I need to go to the list ribbon, and once you install the repeating rows app, you have this ribbon button. Let's click it to see the settings of this custom column. So I can create a new column, but let's select the column that I already created, the details column. So you can see the settings here. So you can set up how many rows should be visible when you create a new item. You saw that I had 3 empty rows. So this is configurable. Also, you configure if you want to enable end users to add more rows. Sometimes you want this to be dynamic, like allow the user to dynamically add more rows, or sometimes you want to have it static, only 5 rows and that's it. Then you connect your repeating rows to a list, and that's what I said. You need to have the details list ready for you. So this is the first thing you create, and you select it. Once you select it, you select which columns you want to display from that details list. So we have title, date, expense type, and amount. And finally, you have the preview, and you can also configure summary fields. Like we had below the amount column, we had a summary field showing the sum. And we have all these functions. This actually reminds me of InfoPath repeating section. And also this summary field creates a column in the list. So if we go to the list itself, you can see that we have here the total column, which is the summary field. Okay, so this was the repeating rows field type. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, the next app that I'd like to show you is another forms related small plugin, but very convenient. This one is all about making your form more attractive or more convenient to work with. So if this is the regular SharePoint form, you can make it look like this. So this app is all about switching or converting your regular SharePoint list forms and making them multi-column and multi-tab forms, which makes them more readable and more easier to work with. Let me show you an example of how we can do it very quickly. So I'm going again to the IT help desk list. Let me just remind you how the new item form looks out of the box. And I want to improve it. As you can see, for example, SharePoint displays always one field per row. So you have only one field and below another field and below another field. So most of the screen actually, with the big screens that everyone has today, most of the screen is not used. And I want to make this form a multi-column form and also multi-tab, like have 2 tabs, for example. So let's do it. I'm going to the field groups settings page. Actually, it looks very much like the previous settings page. And again, it's all about rules. You won't see here a designer because again, our target audience are not power users. These are just business users that own SharePoint sites and need to improve their lists to make them easier to work with. So first thing I want to do is a very simple enhancement. I want to change this form and make it a multi-column form. So what I did 2 changes. I changed the field captions to appear above the field and not near the field. In SharePoint, field captions appear near their field, not above them. And the second thing I want to do, I want to see 2 fields in a row rather than 1 field in a row. And I'm clicking apply. That's it. That's what I'm doing right now. So I'm going back to the new item form and I'll refresh it. Okay, so as you can see now, first of all the captions appear above their field. And also in each row you have 2 fields, not just 1. I still didn't create any tabs, I just changed, made this form multi-column. Now let's go forward and make this a multi-tab form. In order to make it multi-tab, I need to create field groups. Each group contains fields. So here under groups, I'll create a new group, and let's call the first group issue details. That's the name of the group, and it will have two fields in a row, like I defined the default here. And let's add some rows. So I'm clicking here under rows, the plus sign. So I get this empty grid with pluses in every cell. So let's click this plus, and here I can select field. So let's select the what's the problem field, and let's select here reported by, and next to it I would like to see reported date, and maybe here see also the, I don't know, oh yeah, let's add another row below. Yeah, here I want to see the category maybe, and then see the hardware type and software type. So hardware type, and here below the software type. And you know what, maybe I want the what's the problem, because it's a text box. I want it to be to take the entire row. I don't want it to be side by side with report date. So I'm clicking this cell, and here in column span, I'll make it a column span of 2. So what happened now, what's the problem takes the entire row. So again, we don't require users to be form designers, mess with alignments, pixels, and so on. We prefer to keep the users in the logic level, and we will take care of the rendering of this form. So I'm clicking apply, and let's create our second group and call it resolution details. And let's have here some fields. Let's try to do it quickly. So I have here issue status maybe. Yeah, and here I'd like to have resolution details, and here maybe assign to, yeah, okay. Clicking apply. I have two groups. Now, another thing, same as I had condition in the column permission, that I use this condition to display, hide, or disable field, same goes with field groups. Under each field groups, I have conditions. So I can say, I want this tab to be displayed only if, and again, the same condition, only if category equals something and current user belongs or does not belong to some Active Directory or SharePoint group, and blah, blah, blah. So same conditions enable me to make the appearance of these tabs dynamic. So I clicked apply. I have two groups. Let's see how this looks now. So I'm refreshing the new item form. And now you see we have two tabs. We have issue details and we have resolution details. So this is how you create them. Now, it doesn't have to be only tabs. Here you see display group as, we selected tabs, but you can also change it to accordion. If we change it to accordion, for example, let's refresh the page again. So this is accordion. When I click a section, it expands. It's a matter of taste. I personally prefer the tabs. Okay, now let's say I want to get rid of all these settings. I told you this is a 100% SharePoint native, which means it integrates seamlessly with the SharePoint list. It's the same SharePoint list, same SharePoint forms. So all you have to do is just click this nice red button which says clear settings. This will take all these settings from the list. So if I'm going back now to the IT help desk list and refresh it, you will see that there are no tabs and no nothing. Okay, we're back to the beginning. So this means, unlike InfoPath or any other proprietary form designer, we don't replace the SharePoint list forms. It's the same SharePoint list forms. Everything is stored in the same place. You can keep using your views and web parts and any other SharePoint enhancement. We just enhance the existing list forms. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, actually these two apps are very similar. These are more about dashboarding. I'm referring to the QuickOnTouch conditional formatting that you see here, the screenshot on the left side, and the QuickOnTouch KPI column where you see this screenshot at the right side. Now, both of them are doing quite the same. They are adding some visual effects to the list views. The conditional formatting here on the left enables you to create conditions, logic conditions, to add some colors to specific cells or to entire rows in your list view. In this way, you get a better picture of outstanding items, delayed tasks, or whatever. Same thing works exactly the same as the KPI column. You create your logic conditions, and this, according to these conditions, some KPI icons are displayed, or progress bars. So both of them are doing quite the same. This is very useful for displaying a clearer picture, like in dashboard solutions and so on. Now, all the solutions, all these small apps that I showed you so far are actually of one bigger solution, which is QuickOnTouch Forms. And QuickOnTouch Forms app is a forms, workflows, and mobile solution for SharePoint and Office 365. The main thing about the Forms app is that it does not require technical skills. So it's designed, as you saw, the various ingredients, it's designed for non-technical users. There's no designer who doesn't controls. It's just settings page that enable just site owners to create dynamic forms. And how do we do it? I already mentioned it. We do not replace the SharePoint forms. We just enhance the existing list forms, and we make them context-sensitive forms. And this means you don't have to hire or to train form experts, power users, and so on. You can just empower your site owners to create your solutions. And also, because this is a 100% SharePoint native solution, you can keep enjoying or benefiting from your SharePoint extensibility features. QuickOnTouch Forms works with SharePoint because it's a standard add-on. It's not a proprietary designer that replaces SharePoint. Next app is very, very useful for content editors. Sorry, I'll just take this small question I see. Can you have multiple KPI columns looking at the same list to pull this data? Yes, you can have multiple KPIs at the same list. You can have multiple KPIs the same column. So yeah, the answer is yes. Now, the Copypaste from the Paste Plus app solves a very, how do I say it gently, a very irritating problem when you come to the stage where you want to migrate your data into SharePoint. I'll give you an example. Let's say you have your knowledge base, your articles, your whatever, support data in documents. Many organizations have their data in Word documents, in PDFs, in Excels, in PowerPoint, whatever. And you say, okay, I'm in SharePoint Online, beautiful wiki pages. Yeah, I want to make this, instead of offline PDF files that people have to download, I want to convert everything to online wiki pages. That looks nice. Now, when you try to just copy a document, let's say you have a document with 10 embedded images, and you try to copy this document with embedded images and paste into a wiki page, of course, the images are not copied because someone needs to first upload before that, someone needs to go to document, extract the image and save it locally, all the images from document, and then upload each of the documents somewhere, and then copy and embed the images into the wiki page, which makes it hard. This is exactly what this Paste Plus solves. It enables you to do it in one shot very easily. let's see an example. So I'm going here, and let's create a new empty wiki page. Let's call it, I don't know, my wiki page. Sorry, I'm not that creative with names. And I have here a library with some documents and images and everything that and let's take this user guide. This is one of our user guide, the file controller app, doesn't matter. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so we have formatted text and tables, and images. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We the classic bullets and so on. Let's say I want to copy all of this. So I'm just doing Control A and then Control C. And let's go to my wiki page and let's do Control V or paste, doesn't matter. Now what happens now is, you look on the right side here. You see upload in progress. So what happened now behind the scenes is that Paste Plus opened the document, found all the images, it uploaded all the images one by one to the site assets library, and this is a configurable thing. You can configure the app where do you want it to upload the images, and then embedded the images here in the wiki page. And of course all the styles were copied to look this way. One more thing that I wanted to show you here is with images. So I'm selecting 3 images, copy and paste. So these are the 3 images. They were uploaded behind the scenes, and now I have them here. So the idea here, and by the way, let's do it. Let's select even a PowerPoint. I have here a PowerPoint presentation. Let me show it to you. So this presentation has 7 slides, okay? Now see what happens when I copy it from the Windows Explorer. So I copy and I go here and okay, now it happens. Okay, so upload in progress. You see 7 images were created. So each slide was converted into an image, and it was uploaded and displayed in the page. So this is how you can quickly copy content and upload it to SharePoint. Now if you go to the QuickOnTouch app settings page, mentioned before, you can set up the library where all the images that we find in documents will be uploaded. You can also configure if a subfolder will be created for each user. This is to avoid situation where users upload the same images and override each other. So just to be safe, some organizations prefer that each user that copy and paste will have its own subfolder inside the site assets or any other library that the organization prefers. Answering a question here, yes, everything this entire session is recorded, so it will be sent over to you. Okay, so I have 10 minutes. Let's move forward. There's a couple of things I wanted to show you. Okay. Next app that I'd like to show you is a new app. It's called QuickOnScan. It was published, but now it goes through the Microsoft App Store approval process, so you should see it by end of this week or early next week if everything goes all right. The Scan app, very similar to our Scan add-on, the Full Trust add-on. So this is just an app which provides you a very simple way to scan OCR and upload your scan document to SharePoint libraries and list as attachments. Now the way it works is that once you install the Scan app, you have this Scan Document ribbon button in your libraries, or when you're viewing a list item and you want to attach a scanned document. Once you click it, you get this, and this is configurable. There are cases you won't see it, but it will start immediately to scan. But by default, user will see these three options. The first one enables him to first edit the settings of the scan and then scan. The second one just scans with default settings and shows the preview. And the third one is a quick scan or silent mode scan. When you click it, you see only the end result, a new document in your library. You don't see a preview, you don't see anything. So if I click the first option of edit settings and scan, end user can select these settings, which are very trivial. Like you can select the output format if it's PDF, TIFF, bitmap, or whatever. Then you select your file name, and the file name can also be composed out of tokens, dynamic tokens. Like if you want, if for example you're scanning multiple pages and you want this scan to produce multiple files, like you can have one file per scan, or you can have a file per page. So you can create dynamic names for these file names with scan counter and date and user and so on. And once you click scan, you see the preview. And with the preview, you can do all kind of image enhancement. You got the basic image editor. You can also save this as searchable document, meaning doing OCR. You click the OCR button and it creates a searchable document. By default, it gives you OCR in English, but you can add almost every language here. So I think for most countries it will be all right. And at the end, you click save. You can, by the way, import or print, or these are kind of very basic tools that you have with every scanner, I think. At the end, you save it, and then you are redirected to the document properties, where you see here that the name was given automatically. You can also, by the way, give the other fields the automatic values. In this case, I didn't, so you are redirected to the page to manually fill out the values for your scanned document, and that's it. You have your new document in the library. Now, the Scan app has some settings that the admin can control how the Scan app will behave for end users. So, for example, first of all, you can configure these settings at the top level, in the site collection level, and have everything inherited, or you can break the inheritance and configure it in the site level or in the document library or list level. You have some default settings, like the default name offered to the user and the default output format that by default it's PDF. You also have some restrictions. One of them that I like to mention is the compressed large files before upload. You can configure this as admin, that if you expect to have very large scanned files, you can configure these scanned files to first zip if it's let's say above 50 mega to be zipped and uploaded as compressed files. So these are the settings. They are very simple. Okay, I have about 7 minutes. Okay, so the remote list viewer is a really new web part. This one is using the new SharePoint framework, or SPFX, which is part of it's not a production release, but you see it, the new experience in SharePoint. And the remote list viewer enables you to work with remote lists as if they were local in the same site. The way it works is, once you add it to the page, and here you see a new experience page, you add this web part. You had, first of all, the very basic data source settings, and this is very basic. You provide the URL where the remote lists exist. It can be a relative URL like you see here, or a full URL. And then you select your list and the list view that you want to display, and that's it. You got your viewer here. Second thing that you can configure is the layout, and I think this is the main strength of this web part, because it really enables you to customize everything. And when I say everything, I mean the, besides the title, you have here a toolbar. You control which buttons you see here. In every item you see you have some actions. You control which actions you see here. You control the layout here, and we have several templates. Let me show you how it looks like live so you get a better impression. So yeah, I have it here. So this is the remote list viewer. It shows, actually it's the same one that you saw in the screenshot. So by default you can like select multiple items and delete items, and you can add new items. You got the paging, you got some actions that we added here. For example, you can email an item. This creates an email with all the properties of the item. You can edit the item or view the item and so on. So all the basic actions that you need in order to manipulate an item as if it was a web part in your page. Now let me show you how the visual configuration of this web part. So let's edit the page and let's edit this web part. So these are the settings, the data source settings, but I'm more interested in the designer. So the designer enables you to really control everything here. For example, you see that we have here two toolbar buttons, the multiple selection and the delete selected. Actually, these are part, you see configure menu bar. I have here two actions, and I can add more action. And when you add an action, you control the icon, the tooltip, and you can add from templates, or you can use knockout to add whatever you want. And this is really makes it a really dynamic web part. Same goes for other action. In the bottom you have new item. I mean, in the bottom of the web part you have this new item button that adds a new item. Now this was created by dynamically adding a button, which comes, this one comes as a template, but you can add more. Now this one, for example, if I edit it, you see that it uses this knockout code. And same goes for every aspect. Like you see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 actions in every item. This is because we configured it to have these actions. You see action 1, action 2, action 3, action 4, and you can add your own. You see here a table layout, but we can quickly change it to any other templates. Like, for example, let's change it to a list layout. So now it looks like this. Let's close it. So you see, now it looks like more a mobile look of a list, and we control what you see in the main item and the second line and the third line. So actually everything is configurable, enable you to connect to any remote list and show it in any way you want, including creating your own custom templates if you don't like one of the 5 templates that are provided with this list. I think I'm out of time, but I think I was able to show you almost everything I wanted. Yeah, okay, I'll just mention the last one. I won't show it because I'm really out of time. So the last one that I wanted to show you is called QuickOnTouch. QuickOnTouch is our mobile solution for Office 365, and it's also a part of QuickOnForms app, but you can also take it as a self-contained app, and it displays a true responsive UI for SharePoint Online. And you will see that the UI really changes depending on the type of device that you're using, whether if it's a smartphone or a tablet or a phablet, or the way you hold your phone or your tablet, because, and this is something you won't see in the out of the box. Of course, when you hold your phone, for example, you hold it with one hand. So you need the buttons to be located in a way that you can reach with your thumb. But if you're holding a tablet, for example, you hold it with 2 hands. So your hands are located in the sides of the device, not at the bottom of the device. So we took all of this into control, and we also provide many options that you don't have in a convenient way with the out-of-the-box mobile display, like taking pictures and uploading them instantly to your list and document libraries and so on. This is the mobile solution. There are several others. I apologize that I didn't have the time to talk about them or display them. What you can do, of course, please feel free to contact me. This is my address, nimrod@quizcon.com or sales@quizcon.com. We can show you any of the other apps, or these apps have private demos. All the apps are available besides the last two, which are new. They still were not approved, but all others are available in the Microsoft App Store and also on our website for free trial, unlimited trial. You will just see a message that says that it's a trial message, but there's no limit. You can try it as long as you want. I'll be happy to have private meetings with you and answer any questions. And that's it. I'll take some questions now in the remaining time.